All right, so I wanted to start making some free-for-all videos. I figured the easiest way for me to start would just be by doing some like first-person over-explain videos. So this is a game I just played like 20 minutes, 10 minutes ago, and I recorded it in first person because I think that'll help me better to explain what's going through my mind as I play the game, as the camera's going to be controlled, and also you can kind of see what stuff I find is important to focus on. You know, whether it's macro or micro or creeping or, producing wisps, or how I swap items and staff things out and whatnot. I think there's a little bit more information preserved viewing it through a medium like this than like that omniscient, you know, God in the sky observer view when you're watching a replay. So and plus I think it's just more fun. So that's how I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna over explain what's going on in my mind, and kind of the goal of this is so that I can like get a lot of the free for all knowledge that I possess just out there. I kind of want to just make like 20 videos over the next couple months or so, and just make like a repository of Night Elf free for all knowledge. Um, Everything from like hero combos to creep routes to army compositions to just strategies to play styles to um, different nuances between the matchups and what kind of items you want to have, and really go into the minutia of Night Elf and Free For All. Now, I have a ton of experience. I'm definitely one of the whales in terms of um, hours played in Free For All with Night Elf. Um, I'm pretty I'm pretty top tier when it comes to Elf and Free For All. Right now, I've played like 60, 70 games since Reforged came out. I've lost two games, so I'm like 70 and 2. The overall skill quality isn't super high. Um, so, I mean, you'll see that in this game, and a lot of games, there's often rarely more than one good person in a game, and oftentimes you'll do like four games without anybody good. So hopefully that starts to like fix itself once they increase the MMR past 3,000, and start adding in a ladder and stuff like that. But everything that they show, I think, is extremely relevant. I'm always playing as if there are the best players in the game, more or less, and I think these strategies work better versus better players. In fact, they're kind of not as good versus worse players. Versus bad players, I would just mass like Hippogriff Riders and kill everybody very, very quickly. Um, so, or like bears or something, because you could get bears out earlier than shims. But I'm not going to get bears versus good players. So I'm always playing. I'm always like sparring, so to speak, with people like as if they were very good players. And so everything that I'm going to show is relevant and, in fact, even more useful versus better people. So, um, also, if you aren't very good and you're just trying to learn the basics, I think this will help too. Um, I'm just gonna go through the replay and or the first person VOD, and just pause things before, if something's in my mind before something interesting happens, and kind of just see how this goes. Um, okay, first thing, immediately first thing, and I gotta tell you how incredibly important this um, is speed. You have to be fast. You have to be very, very fast. Okay, let me take that back. You don't have to be. Um, you can do well in free for all when you're a slower player, but the type of playstyle I'm going to promote and talk about is a more aggressive night elf. And I think in order, and I've known very, very good night elves who can't seem to crack like a 70% win rate on ladder. I think if, and I know worse night elves who have better win rates than those players because they play more aggressive. And I don't play more aggressive because I find it more fun. Yes, I find it more fun, but I play aggressive, and I think that night elf is. I think of night elf as an aggressive race because I think it's the best way to play night elf in a ladder setting. And I'm gonna expound on that over the course of whatever videos I make, but just keep in mind that that is always going to be a theme of what I'm talking about: aggression and speed. And I'm not saying there aren't other valid ways to play the game. You can definitely play more passive. You can play more friendly with people. You can play more, map control. You can play more like reactive. You can do all those things. Those are all other valid different ways to play the game. They're not really what I'm going to be talking about. I might make a video talking about each one in turn, but in general, what I am going to promote is an aggressive playstyle. And so just that's going to be like a presupposition in everything that I talk about, is how to be aggressive and be dominant early in the game. And the first thing you need is speed. You need to be really quick. You need to just be very, very quick on everything. And sometimes, people will like send replays or ask me to watch replays of their games. And what I see in the very first 2 seconds in the game, it's like they were alt-tabbed and they weren't, at their keyboard, or they didn't find it particularly important to get their workers to their gold mine quickly. That you have to dismiss that. You need to understand that speed is incredibly important, because it compounds over time. If you can do things faster, though, for example, here, look at it like this. Let's say I tech 5 seconds quicker than somebody else. Then I get my second hero out 5 seconds quicker than someone else, which means I can start a certain creep camp 5 seconds before someone else, which also means I can finish that creep camp 15 seconds before someone else, because that second hero allowed me to creep it faster. And not only that, I get the items from that creep camp quicker, being able to sell them and generate like 300 gold, more experience. I start the next creep camp quicker. So now I'm 30 seconds ahead. I'm 40 seconds ahead. And these things compound over time. And you can basically max out at like 80 food, 3-3 chims at either 20 minutes or 17 minutes or 16 minutes. And the difference between 16 minutes in the game and 20 minutes in the game is absolutely paramount, particularly versus human and orc, because they're slower. And if you can get that army out quicker, you can just beat a really good player at 16 minutes in the game, 15 minutes into the game. They're gone. You don't need to worry about them. Often, if there's only one other good player in the game, you can get a free win. Not a free win, you worked for it, but you can just win the game outright at 15 minutes because you're faster. And think about the speed. Like, it's so important. You get your heroes higher quicker. You get more gold quicker. You get your expansions quicker. You get your tech quicker. You get your upgrades quicker. You get your items quicker. And not only do you get the items quicker from the creep camps, but you prevent other players from getting those creep camps. So your heroes are higher, disproportionately higher than enemy heroes. Does that make sense? So, like when I watch replays of people play the game, and like the first second and a half, even if it's been like a second and they haven't moved their workers, it's like, and you tell them that, and they get upset and say that that isn't the cause of them losing. It's like they're in the completely wrong frame of mind. And if you don't think that's an issue, like you need to work on like humility or something to understand how important speed is. It compounds over time. And so work out that APM, get that micro up, get that speed going. Play some solo games. So right away, you want to get your first 20 second, 30 second, 40 seconds of your build order down. This was kind of awkward for me because this is the first time me playing not windowed full screen. I just played full screen because I think it helped with the video recording. So the mouse lag was a little bit higher, but I'm going to fix that for the next one. So I thought something was weird. I put my FPS on, but it was actually perfectly fine. I got used to it really quickly. Anyways, Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm starting a tavern build, and I like tavern builds. I prefer tavern builds over altar builds because you do not have to halt wisp production, and you do not have to halt archer production, and you get your archers out quicker. And often the tavern heroes are good at creeping. So um, it's the different. Imagine you have a demon hunter and an uprooted ancient of war and one archer, versus like a tinker and four archers, and you can keep your ancient rooted, or you can keep it walking somewhere else to a bigger creep. Um, I think the speed that it affords you creeping is very, very useful getting a tavern hero. Though, I mean, Demon Hunter is really good. So during the loading screen, I saw two humans. I see two humans. I'm going Tinker, and I'm going to just make the claim right now. There's three hero combos that you should generally be thinking about. This is for people trying to learn Night Elf or like theory crafting and free for all. The three hero combos that I think are the absolute strongest right now. And these are variable. Things change. It's dependent on the matchup, the players that you're facing, the like configuration of races in the game. But I think the three best hero combos are, um, um, and all these three combos have Panda second, Keeper of the Grove third. So your second hero is Panda, your third hero is Keeper of the Grove. That's the same for all of them. So what's different is the first hero. So it's Tinker, Alchemist, or Demon Hunter. I think those are the three best combos right now. Tinker's insane. Like I haven't seen people utilize cluster rockets to their full potential very often. It's you're gonna see how incredibly powerful it is. But I think Tinker is who you choose if you're facing humans and orcs. If your game is dominated by humans and orcs, you choose Tinker. It's the strongest hero. If the game looks to have a good undead in it, you have to go Alchemist. You don't have to, but it can be pretty miserable without an Alchemist versus a good undead, especially after all the recent changes in the patches. I'll go more into that later. But Alchemist is also just an all-around really good hero. Just maybe the strongest universal pick right now. And then you have the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter's great just because he just does a lot of damage. He's tanky. He's safe early game. And he's just stable. Though I think the risk that you take with going the Demon Hunter is your lack of just win conditions later. He doesn't supply as much interesting capabilities that like the Tinker or the or the Alchemist supply in the later games, such as Transmute, a Robo Goblin, Cluster Rockets, big AoE stuns, AoE abilities, Acid Bomb, Heal Spray, Chemical Rage. These are all things that the Demon Hunter can mana burn, just nice. And he can be really tanky and do good metamorph damage and defend well. I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't think he's as good as the other two. Obviously, if you're not obviously, maybe you don't know, but versus Night Elf, generally the Demon Hunter is best. Elves can't really kill a Demon Hunter very well. So just interesting thing to think about. Choose your hero combo when the game starts. Usually it's going to be between Tinker or Alchemist if you want to play as strong as possible. Yes, I recognize there's tons of other hero combos that you can play, such as Dark Ranger, such as Priestess of the Moon, Naga, things like that. There's a lot to be said, and generally, like, you can be pretty creative in your hero combos and find success in it. But I'm not going to go into that in this video. We're going Tinker first because there were two humans in the loading screen, and I can talk more about the Tinker during this game. Okay, just a quick thing for free-for-all. You'll save yourself a win, or you save yourself a future loss by building your altar in the back of your base. You're going to play a game one time in the future where someone's killing your base, and you're trying to revive your hero, and they kill your altar. So build it in the back of your base. Will save you a loss at least once. And so this build is nice. I can continue Wisp production. When you don't build your Ancient of War far away from your base and you build it close to your base, you don't have to halt Wisp production. Because the lumber and the gold lines up just right so that you always have 60 gold when it's time to build a wisp, and you always have 130 gold when it's time to build an archer. Plus, you don't need your Ancient of War to creep when you go a tavern build on most maps. On some maps you do, but like on this map, obviously you don't. It's just an orange creep. So going Tinker first, let's see. What I want to be doing is, what I want is 2 instant expansions right after I tech. So the second I get 185 lumber, whatever it is, I'm teching right away. And then right when I get 185 lumber again, I'm expanding. And then I'm expanding again. And that might sound super greedy, but, and that's risky to be greedy. But it's also really risky to not be greedy, because let's say someone else on the other side of the map is being greedy. You'd rather play greedy. The payoff is too big. The payoff is too big. So just play greedy. Plus, you're really not that weak, because you're creeping so fast. You're getting a lot of gold. You're getting items. And let's say someone attacks you, you could just attack their base, or you can just, maybe you need to toss your main, and that would be the worst case scenario where you need to get rid of your main. But you're going to have multiple expansions that you can relocate to if you have to. Not ideal, but better than not being greedy, where you're just going to be behind in a later game because you were too afraid someone was going to hit your expansion or something. So expand right away. Expand twice after the tech. The reason why you want to tech first is because we want to get that panda level 3 as soon as possible. Plus, the panda's going to help us creep quicker. Plus, we don't really want to... if you expand first, you're going to find this awkward, like, 2-minute period during the first tech in which you don't really know what to spend your money on. And you don't want to float money. Like, that's just really inefficient to float money. So tech first and then expansions. That's my sense. That's what I've gathered after playing just tons of games. It seems to work better to do that. Also during this tech, I think 2 mines is fine, but you can get 3 expansions. That might be a little greedy, but you can do it. It would be kind of hard to creep a 3rd expansion on this map early. Plus, I like the items in the center better. So that's what I'm thinking about. Also, at, I think it's midnight, you can buy a shredder. And it's really easy to pull a shredder. What you need to do is you put a wisp on the tree behind the goblin lab, and then you just send 1 archer to pull the creep out. So like you could be creeping with your hero while you don't need to bring your army to get the lab. You just need an archer and a wisp. So I'm pulling this. I'm getting the shredder. Ideally, when I buy the shredder, I don't want to whack this creep right here, but I can't really help that because like it's gonna spawn the shredder on that creep. Luckily, the creep didn't cast frost armor on itself. It cast frost armor on whatever I attacked with the archer. But yeah, so getting that shredder. Make sure you have enough wells for that shredder. And then we're getting that panda. Look, my gold and lumber is perfect. I have just enough lumber and just enough gold to get that panda, never floating gold. And that's all part of the speed. We're getting there quick. We're going to get to tier 3 as quick as possible. We're going to get an 80 food army, and we're just going to go smash people. We don't care if they're good. We don't care if they're bad. It doesn't really matter to us. I would say it does matter to us if they're a good undead, because if they're a good undead, they're going to have gargoyles, and then you got to make hippogriffs, and you don't want to make hippogriffs because hippogriffs suck. They can't kill buildings. They can't kill heroes. All they can do is kill air. And so what if you kill a bunch of gargs? You're still going to need to take out buildings. So the exception to the rule is against an undead. It takes you a little bit longer to build an army to beat an undead, but sorry, I'm doing a lot of things right now. One, I sold the claws. I don't need the claws. I don't want claws. I want simple items, and my heroes aren't made to deal physical auto attack damage. I want them to have mana, I want them to be mobile, and I want them to not die. And so I want things like circlets, periaps, boots of speed just on the panda. I need to save slots for my other heroes. I want scrolls, things like that. Any consumable that you get, just use it or sell it. Like on some maps, you just find like good stuff all the time. You find like demonic stones to some doom lords. I don't remember what they're called, but something like that. You find ice revenants. You find all sorts of summons. You find greater healing potions, and you think, oh, I'm gonna save them for like a battle with an enemy, but don't. Just use it. Just use it right away. Like it'll help you creep faster. Like that. It's a tool, and yeah. So bought boots for the panda. I just want to be. I want to have low gold. Now I shouldn't have bought the boots. I thought I already started my tier 3 tech, and I don't think I did. And I should have sold. If I realized that, I would have not bought the boots, and I would have sold that wand of mana stealing, because I want to be tech into tier 3 already. Now something interesting that I do that I don't see done, and solo pros just started to do this. This is a very recent thing, is buying orbs for multiple heroes. I've been advocating it for like years. I don't think people do it because I've been advocating. I think people have just figured it out. It's really good if you have extra gold to buy orbs for multiple heroes. And what I'm going to do is, with my quick tech, this is going to sound really weird, but like I have so many examples now to go off of. I build 3 shops, 3 different shops between tier 2 and tier 3, so that I could buy triple orb right when my Keeper of the Grove comes out. And what that does is just, it like doubles your strength or triples your strength, because those orbs stack, and an orb does more damage than Envenom Poison. It does like double and a half the damage, I think. And they stack with each other, and so you just get a ton of damage. I think we calculated it. An Orb of Venom is like it's like a claw plus 25, and I think like a way that you can think about it is it's doing 9 DPS that ignores armor, which would be like what is, and it does it every second. So like a militia attacks like once every second and a half. So it's, imagine whenever you attack something, it spawns a militia on that unit that you attacked that just attacks them for like 8 seconds or something. And you can do that on the whole enemy army, or at least like multiple units at a time, 4 units at a time. It does a lot of damage to heroes, and it's just really good. And I've just been so satisfied using it. And what's really nice about it is you can generally just kill a weaker player with your heroes. Pocket Factory plus Haze Breath of Fire plus Entangle, Force of Nature, things like that. Just at 8 minutes into the game, 9 minutes into the game, with 3 orbs and like crept up heroes with some items, you just can kill people like no problem. And if you like run into a Blade Master on the map with like a TC and like a Shadow Hunter, you run into like a Mountain King, Archmage, Paladin, you can trade with them, you could fight them, whereas normally that's really difficult for an elf unless you have like a Beastmaster or a Demon Hunter first. And so yeah, I know it sounds weird to buy 3 orbs in 3 shops, but it's worth it. Trust me on this, it's worth it. If you keep watching these videos, I'll keep showing you demonstrations of how powerful it is. I'm taking a middle creep camp early. 4 archers, 2 heroes. I look really weak, but you can creep it no problem with just Pocket Factory. This is why the Tinker is so nice. This thing runs away. It's super annoying, but I wish I had killed that, because now he's going to cast Shockwave again and heal up, and it's just really annoying. But what can you do? Well, there are things you can do. Like maybe I could have controlled a Robo Goblin to body block it. And maybe that's what I should have done. It's not that weird of a thing to think about, but it does seem like an overkill amount of micro, but it probably would have been smart. Anyways, that's what I was thinking about at the time after that. So build a shop during I mean, build a Hunter's Hall during your tech to tier 3 because um, you want increased mana regeneration in those moon wells as quick as possible, and you want to get 3/3 upgrades on your chimps. Um, I did not mean to creep jack this guy, but I like these corner creeps better. Not the marketplace ones, but the lab creeps because these drop aura items. They drop the aura items of the quality that have like Legion, Doomhorn, um, War Drums, Endurance Aura, Brilliance Aura, um, and I'd prefer that over a Medallion. I love the Medallion because it's 4 strength, 4 armor. It's like a Crown of Kings for your panda. I like that over these other ones, even though these drop good items too. I mean, that's just a personal preference. So yeah, I'm gonna take this Ogre Lord. I think I really spooked this guy. So here's what I'm talking about: the 3 shops. He probably should have just stayed here and fought me. I could have used, that Wand of Illusion better. You can see all my archers are about to die, and that's fine. As you can see, I'm approaching 50 food, and I don't want to go over 50 food. See, look, I got Endurance Aura, and I got Command Aura on the other side. So that's a multiplicative 15% more damage. Multiplicative in that the 5% attack speed is multiplicative to the 10% overall damage because attack speed and damage scale multiplicatively. That's because they're just different types of damage. So that's really nice. And I think they also scale multiplicatively with upgrades and with Roar. So, I mean, you can imagine a 3/3 Chim with Endurance Aura and Command Aura and Roar. It's like a Chim with 6 attack upgrades. You're doing a lot of damage. So, I see this Undead. I really want to get this creep before like the Undead can do anything. I have Breath of Fire, so I know I can at least get the item. And yeah, I used Haze Breath of Fire just in case. Ring of Protection +5. I really like that. That's a lot of armor. Like 5 armor. That's a lot of armor. If you think of every... I just blocked my Shredder in there, by the way. If you think of every point of armor as 6% effective HP, which it is, then 5 times 6, that's 30% more effective hit points. That goes through, that is more effective through healing because you don't actually lose the HP. It's just a flat reduction. So here's the 3 orbs. Buy the 3 orbs right away. And I also always buy a staff and a TP for my Keeper of the Grove, just in case I need another TP. You don't want to just lose the entire game because you lost like a hero. So you want to have like 2 to 3 town portals. So here's a little trick. If you lock your Shredder in, you don't need to cancel the buildings. You don't need to go bring your hero back to staff it out. The Shredder actually just attacks trees and can go through them really quickly. 5 hits per tree. So, so I need to attack these 5 trees, then I'm fine. So really early, I'm just making chims. I just want to, finish the game as quickly as possible. There's so much to talk about when it comes to just being fast and attacking people quickly. Look at how much damage I do to this Ogre Lord with the Orb of Venoms. Like, it's just very, very fast. That thing has Devotion Aura, too. And that's what it looks like going through, like, a level 5 enemy hero with the Orbs of Venom. You just do a lot of damage. And these aren't DPS heroes. These are, in fact, all of them have really crappy DPS. Tinker, Panda, Keeper of the Grove, very crappy DPS. So you see I went up 51 food. You do not want to be at 51 food. That's why I queued an Ancient about to be built. So I'm not going to stay 51. I will expand 3 times if it's a Shredder map, which is what I'm going to do here. I see a human. I'd love to fight this guy, but I don't have cluster rockets yet, and he was in the way of the shop. And this is really annoying. What I should have done, I think, is swapped the staff onto another hero and staffed him out. But whatever. So I figured I would just kill his blood mage, but that didn't even work because he was banished on himself, and I just didn't have any mana left on my panda. So just kind of an annoying fight. Wish I had cluster rockets already. Wish I had more mana on the panda. I really need staff of teleportation on the panda. That's a good early buy. I don't know why I didn't buy it yet. But yeah. So I figured now's as good a time as any. It's 12 minutes. Well, it's actually 11 minutes into the game, counting the loading screen. I already have like 2k gold. I have a strong base. I have multiple expansions. Might as well just go up food right now and just start killing everybody. I want those level 6 heroes. I want level 7 heroes. If you put yourself ahead with level 7 heroes at an early point in the game, 20 minutes in the game, it's very difficult for people to beat you. And so you can see Cluster Rockets just does a lot of damage right now. And that stun that it has in conjunction with Breath of Fire and Chimera Focus is just too much for people to deal with. And now would be a good time to talk about my aversion to ever using hippogriffs. I'm just really not a fan of hippogriffs. I talked about it a bit, but one reason that I don't have to make hippogriffs is because I choose a hero combo that can kill air all by itself. Orc and human air. You can't kill undead or night elf air just with heroes, but you can human and orc. And Tinker Panda does that. So does Alchemist Panda. It's the double AoE that just does so much damage to the air. Plus, your heroes are just tanky. You can staff them out, staff them back in. You get Robo Goblin. Those orbs tear through it. And undead orc and human air just they're just not that tough. And there's something to be said about having so much gems. I mean, these things, the damage just starts to get to a point where it becomes absurd, where you stun the heroes and you Breath of Fire them and you entangle them and you Haze Fire, Cluster, I don't remember everything that I said, and maybe even like Mana Flare, and everything just blows up. And so, yeah, they have 10 wyverns, but they can't really do anything with them because the wyverns are hazed, so they don't do any damage, and they're being cluster rocketed, and they're being attacked by orb heroes, and they're being hit with fire, and the orc heroes can't fight you because you have like 80 food of pure gems or 100 food of pure gems. So, anyways, you're gonna find a human like this, so you're gonna find an orc like this who's just weak, and this kind of goes against Kantian ethics to not treat people as if they're a means to an end, but that's exactly what we're going to do to this guy. He's just a tool. He's a means to an end, which is more experience. We're just going to use him for leveling up our heroes. And like you could tell what's going to happen. This is going to be so satisfying. Look at that. Just... You got 5 rifles, 4 footmen, a hero, and we're just gonna blow it up. It's just really satisfying. And Cluster Rockets is on such a low cooldown. Also, something nice to do if you're gonna push a human early game, like at 15 minutes, 14 minutes. What are we at? We're at almost 14 minutes, so around 13 minutes. What you want to do is you want to hit their base while Corrosive Breath is still researching. That way you can kill their towers with Lightning Breath, and then halfway through killing their towers, Corrosive Breath finishes and you can kill their main. It only works on the first the first human that you fight, and you only want to do it versus human. So this guy just offered us actually not too much experience. And so basically what I'm planning to do is I just want to kind of blitzkrieg this other human. I can tell he seems decent. Doesn't seem very good, but he seems, I don't know, maybe he might be like a 20 or 30% player, which is um well above average in a free for all game. And you have to think about win rates in a free for all game as like the vast majority of everybody has a 0% win rate, and then it starts to, some people have a 10%, some people have a 20%, and there's a selection of people with 50%, and then it gets much more exclusive the higher you get, and 75% is twice as rare as 50%, and 85% is twice as rare as 75%. And anyways, so 20-30% player isn't that bad. That would be like a 70% solo player, maybe like a 65% solo player. Anyways, as this guy leaves, I'm just going to make a plan to go to this human base as fast as possible. And remember, we're talking about speed. I look at my army right now. I staffed my panda back to my base to give him full mana, and staffed him back to my army, such that if this teal human attacks my expansion, I'm just gonna be able to TP and fight him. So that purple human left. I'm literally just gonna use my TP to go to the other side of the map and go straight to kill this guy's castle, because I don't really want to have to be dealing with tanks. And if you kill a castle, I'm a big advocator of this. Just suicide the castle with roared gems. Haze, Breath of Fire, Cluster Rockets on the peasants, all that. Lose if you Chimera's doing it, TP out. Just kill the castle, and then your matchup against the human is going to be really easy, especially with a Tinker. There's not really anything you could make. Gyrocopters are going to get demolished by Cluster Rockets, Breath of Fire. Same with, you can't Dragonhawk the Chims because Cluster Rockets stun them. Just kill the castle and you're in a really good spot. So I TP over here. I see he wants to fight. I don't want to fight him out here. I'd rather fight him in his base, but it's fine. I think I have 2 attack upgrades on my Chims. Maybe I have 3. And like one thing you'll see right now, he has 4 Gryphons. If he had 12 Gryphons or 10 Gryphons, it doesn't really matter. They don't do enough damage to heroes when they have Drunken Haze on them and they're being cluster rocketed, and your heroes just can mow through them. So you don't need that anti-air. Don't worry about that anti-air unless you have to fight an undead or a night elf. So yeah, this guy was like, I'm gonna start banishing all the chimeras, and it just didn't work, and he's just gonna leave. So would be nice such that I could show you how well this actually works against good players. Like, this works very, very well against good players. Often works better against good players because that's what we're preparing for. And good players have more army. They have more experience. They have higher level heroes. And you're just going to chew through them just as quickly. Yeah, they might staff things out. They might try and get other people to team you. They might send tanks to your expansions and stuff, but it's the same principle. Same thing happens. You kill their castle, you entangle their heroes, you Breath of Fire, Cluster Rocket their air and their backline, their heroes, and it just takes a couple more Cluster Rockets. And these things lose effectiveness as the game goes on. You get to 25 minutes, these things aren't as good anymore. You get to 30 minutes, they're not as good anymore. You get to 45 minutes, and then everything kind of tapers off. And yes, it's still good. It's a really good combo versus human, but it's not as good as it was at this time in the game. Okay, and here's another example of how good Cluster Rocket, Breath of Fire is. See these ziggurats? Those cost them a lot of time and money to make. Cluster Rocket's Breath of Fire is just a ton of damage. Like, we're talking like super short cooldown, very little mana investment. I see this guy has pure ground. Don't be this undead. If you're playing undead, just mass gargoyles. You don't need anything else. Usually, you'll beat most players with mass gargoyles, and you just make everything more difficult for everybody. Uh, you could just see the like, for example, let's say I had like 20 food of hippogriffs right now, which is what most elves would have. Um, you, that's let's say that would be 4 chimeras. Each chimera gets 1 attack in during a stun. Each chimera roared with 3 upgrades and auras does, let's say, 120 damage a hit. That's like 400 damage per stun, per volley that you lose by having 20 food hippogriffs. Uh, so really double down on the chimeras if you can. Um, the the problem with hippogriffs is you can't, you're just so slow at killing people. They don't kill bases. They don't attack heroes. They just fight air. Um, yes. Anyways, I have a lot of fun with this hero combo. I think it's really good. Like look at the cluster rocket breath of fire. It's just, it's so scary. It does so much damage. You just completely demolish people. So, as you can tell, this game is kind of a pub stomp, and a lot of games are like that. They're just a pub stomp. But they're also a pub stomp when the good player's in the game. I accidentally just staff teleported to my Moonwell. I thought I clicked the keeper, but I clicked outside of the portrait. Don't do that. It really sucks to have to walk your panda across the map like an average player. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. Anyways, oh yeah, most games are going to be pub stomps if you play well like this. But even when there's good players in, if you play this aggressive style, um, you honestly can just chew through good players, no problem. And I got this playstyle from, I can't remember his name. His name was like after one of the Dreadlords or something, and he had like an 80% win rate on the Play FFA ladder, which is really rare. There was like 10 people with that kind of win rate, and like thousands of people playing. Maybe cycling between a few thousand people. So not very many people had an 80% win rate. And anyways, this guy was okay, but he just played a super aggressive Night Elf. And he had like a higher win rate than every Night Elf that I know from FFA Masters. And it really made me think, like, why does he have such a high win rate? And I think it's just, I at the time, I'm like, I think it's just because you get level 6 heroes at 17 minutes into the game, and it's just really hard for people to come back against you. And you just try and finish every game out in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And it works. It really works. I have more examples, and I've been trying it out now, and I'm finding way more success than I've ever found with any other strategy. It's just, and it's so much more aggressive than I used to be, and I used to be pretty aggressive, but this is really aggressive. Very early chims, very early tier 3. And I think it's, I don't know, I think it's like the best way for a Night Elf to get a high win rate on ladder. Now, there are some games when you don't want to be doing this. But if, as a general rule, you're just going to decide a certain strategy to follow, did you see that? I totally clicked Breath of Fire like in front or behind the panda. Look at how he shoots that out. That was super annoying. Breath of Fire can be wonky sometimes. Look at this. Look at where I'm clicking. Panda's to the right. I'm clicking right there. Look at where I Breath of Fire. I shoot it off in that direction, right at my Keeper of the Grove. Really annoying. But anyways, that was this game. There's so much to talk about. There's so many ideas in my head, things that I can't all get out right now. But I'm gonna start just making a bunch of these videos and create kind of like over the next couple months, and create like a repository of just Elf free-for-all information. Just so I can get it all out there. I don't know if I'll keep playing this game forever. I think I'll keep playing it for a while, especially if they keep working on Reforged. But I'd like to get like a bunch of videos out there talking about all sorts of things Night Elf. And so if you have any ideas of things you want to learn about Night Elf, I figure I'm going to make videos of hero combos, base builds, creep routes, different types of strategies, unit compositions, the problems that Elf has with various races, with various timings in the game, how to deal with harassment, just all sorts of stuff. Just like get out a bunch of information just so it's out there so that people will always have that resource to be able to learn Night Elf and Free For All and just learn Free For All tactics in general, because a lot of these you could extrapolate to other races. In fact, whenever I've swapped to undead, human, or orc, my win rate doesn't change at all. It stays exactly the same with orc as it is with elf, and it's exactly the same as undead as it is with elf, and it's exactly the same as human. It's actually higher with human than it is with elf. Maybe not with this aggressive type of strategy. Maybe I'm really figuring something out with this aggressive strategy, and I can have the same win rate as I do with human with my night elf. But what I'm saying is these skills that you learn with one race do extrapolate to other races. And it's just weird how that works, because I don't play aggressive with other races near as much. Anyways, so let me know if any of you want me to talk about specific things, or you have questions, or whatever it is, and I would be more than happy to get to work on it. Like I said, I have just finishing up school, and I don't know, I have some time each night to play Warcraft, make some videos, stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next video.